WTLF and the Lapsed Entertainment Group, it's This American Work, one McMahon's story, told week by week. I'm Nasal Gas. This American Work, I'm Nasal Gas. Act 7, Moore, Maryland. We remain in that state as Vince McMahon has taken a job with Maryland Cup Corporation and found he doesn't really love it that much. Despite threats, despite violence, he just wasn't feeling selling paper cups to people. Would pro wrestling be next? Would his father's empire be next? Not quite. Vince, welcome in.
Yeah, well, you know, the beauty of that is really, you know, you touch upon something interesting. You know, you don't want to, you know, I knew someone who used to say, you know, when you're going into something and you're starting something or you're going to meet somebody for the first time, you don't want to shove your dick down their throat. And that's kind of the same thing with my dad. You know, I knew I was going to reclaim my property, the property from my intellect that he had stolen, and I was going to reclaim it. But you don't want to throw your fucking dick down his throat. You got to kind of ease it in. And then when the moment is perfect, you smack him on the head with your cock.
So none of the women of the 14 million in settlements would agree that you kept to that whole ethos of not shoving your dick down someone's
Well, it's a
throat
metaphor. It's not. It has nothing to do with you know, intimate relations. It has to do with business and other sorts of meetings. But no, with sexual encounters, you definitely just shove the cock down the throat and just fucking jam it in there. And I love the sound of choking.
Well, you certainly did a fair bit of that, trying to sell cups and adding machines, as we talked about last time. But you remain kind of on the stump, trying to find your way in the world, trying to find a job that's befitting your stature. Your dad wanted you to be maybe an accountant, a lawyer, something with some security, some prestige, certainly not a wrestling promoter, or at least that's what he led you to believe. Now, what you turned to next, I think, probably shocked him and shocked everybody. You don't stay white collar. You don't stay in the marketing and sales pitch kind of business. You're not taking meetings in boardrooms. Suddenly, you're going to work for Rockville Crushed Stone in Rockville, Maryland.
Yep.
You're crushing rocks. You're a laborer all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Talk to us about how that
actually
happened.
You know, before that, I was a mechanic as well. I did that very, very briefly. I mean, I got a job as a mechanic, you know, working cars, changing oils, and you know, but that lasted a matter of weeks. I mean, it wasn't really anything worth talking about. But yeah, then I became a manual laborer, and I definitely grew an appreciation for physicality and prowess.
Was your dad like, what are you doing? Like, you didn't go to business school to crush rocks?
I mean, again, see, I'm looking at as more of a, what can I do to get inside? What can I do to get under my dad's skin enough that the door will kind of open for me to.
So this was a bit of rebellion then.
I wouldn't say it's a rebellion. I would say that it was a ploy to manipulate.
So what was your play? If you crushed stones, what would happen again?
The play is that my dad is one, you know, the idea was that one of several things could happen. In either way, it leads me into the door that I need to be in. Number one, my dad is disgusted that I have basically wasted a whole college career to be a lowbrow individual. And therefore he's like, no, you know what, son, come with me, or, you know, I can prove him that I am willing to do hard labor, you know, to kind of grind my teeth on and maybe get in that way. There were just some, I felt, you know, the plan was crush rock, crush Pappy.
Kind of like your plan in 2005 when you didn't renew his contract, huh?
Yes, I suppose I see what you did there. Yes. I was thinking to myself for a moment, I said, I don't remember hiring somebody named Pappy, but I see. Rock, yes.
So Playboy talked to you about this time in your life, saying you claimed to work 90 hours a week, and they said, that's almost impossible, isn't it?
Not at all.
You said, no, it's not. Linda will tell you, I drove a huge dump truck at Rockville Crushed Stone, and after a while I got promoted to the pug mill. Linda still teases me for it. A pug mill is where you combine different levels of rock with dirt, and I was made the pug mill operator.
Yeah.
Now, that was big time.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, I was working 6 days a week, 15-hour days. That's 90 hours. See, accounting. Right there, I counted.
How could you survive working 15 hours a day with a young son at home, no less?
Oh, again, you see, so you're looking at it small picture. Like how is it affecting me here? How is it affecting my day to day? I'm looking at, this is just a starting point. This is what will help me get to the next step. I'm always looking for what's next. You know, they talk about, you know, there's talk about how, you know, we had this big success with Hulk Hogan, and almost immediately I'm looking to find somebody else to replace him. That's not false. You know, I mean, Hulk Hogan was lucky that I didn't find somebody who was worthy to replace him. God knows I tried. I'm always looking for who's next, what's next, who can I profit more from. And so crushing rock was you know, a stepping stone, if you will.
Pardon that pun, right?
Yes, indeed.
So,
or don't. I don't need to pardon the pun at all.
So tell me, what was your day like as a pug mill operator? Take me there.
Well, are you familiar with a pug mill?
I'm not. No, I hadn't even heard the term until I was preparing for this conversation.
It's a special mill, and you know, it's a portable. You know, they call it a pug mill because it's one of the ugliest fucking things you'll ever see in your life. So like a pug dog, and it's just this, you know, and what it does, you know how a pug's face is kind of squashed. That's what it does. Like it basically squashes the rock. It fucking drops it, and you know, it explodes, and all the pieces get you know, dropped into another bin, and then it goes on to the next level. But the pug mill specifically is what, you know, flattens it out, so to speak, or shatters it. And all these different, you know, multitude sizes of boulder that I would bring in my truck. And I would then, you know, once we had enough boulder, I would lay it down with the pug mill.
So when you laid it down, you know, what kind of job sites are we talking about? Are these construction projects? Are these like residential, like crushed stone for gravel driveways? What were some of the deliveries you made?
I mean, I do believe that we had you know, we had a multitude of clients, just different varieties, both residential and corporate, as well as construction sites. You know, we were always delivering stone somewhere, and you know, that everyone needs stone. You know, everyone needs rock every now and again. So yeah, I mean, there was one. There was one corporate facility that we went to that they had requested some smashed stone to be you know, kind of laid out in front of the you know, the main structure of the building. And as I was there, I said, you know, I looked around and I saw that this, you know, it was a glass paneled facade, and I said, I think I like this. And it really was one of the inspirations for what would become Titan Towers.
Oh, wow. Right there in Maryland, huh?
That's right.
So you're driving this huge dump truck. I have to say, I cannot picture Vince McMahon behind the wheel of a dump truck.
Oh, let me tell you, one of the biggest thrills of my life, driving that fucking dump truck. All the power in the world. Nobody's fucking stopping me. All right? Somebody hits me, they're in trouble. Not me. I'm driving a big-ass dump truck with like 4 tons of rock. I was a walking weapon. of mass destruction.
Were among the boulders you carried Terry?
Well, actually, that is funny that you bring that up, because I did carry Terry Boulder, and the reason why he's a success to this day.
Now, was it all in the up and up at this business? Because, that can often be a pretty shady enterprise, operating in gravel, crushed stone, a lot of ways to skim profits in that business. It can often be a place that, the unscrupulous end up working. Any stories like that where it's like, this might not be the cleanest operation?
When it comes to things of that nature, I don't necessarily pay specific attention because, again,
how about this article? 2 plead
all
guilty
right.
to conspiracy. U.S. Attorney Richard D. Bennett announced that Guy Alfred Moore Jr. has pleaded guilty to conspiracy to submit false claims to the Army Corps of Engineers in connection with 3 contracts for harbor improvements on the Chesapeake Bay. Elwood Grover Trapp Jr. also pleaded guilty to the same offense July 16th. Both defendants face maximum sentences of 5 years in prison and or $250,000 fines. Moore and Trapp were responsible for hauling rock and stone on 3 Army Corps of Engineer projects in 1986 and 1987, the construction of a stone breakwater and jetty at Deal Island in Somerset County, modifications of the Herring Creek navigation project at Tall Timbers in St. Mary's County, and repairs to a stone revetment at the Claiborne Harbor in Talbot County. Evidence presented at the guilty plea before Judge J. Frederick Motz accused Moore and Trapp of submitting inflated invoices for hauling rock on the 3 contracts under the name Maryland Trucking Service, which was paid based on the tonnage hauled. The Army Corps of Engineers also relied on the invoices in paying for the rock hauled. Total losses to the government in the 3 contracts were in excess of $123,000, Bennett said. Rock for the 3 contracts came from Rockville Crushed Stone and Rockville, Maryland. Rockville Crushed Stone issued weight tickets for the contents of the trucks by subtracting the empty weights of the trucks from the full weights of the trucks. Moore and Trapp were accused of taking advantage of the fact that Rockville Crushed Stone did not weigh their trucks before loading them, but had input into its computer false empty weights for the trucks, because the empty weights understated the true weights of the trucks in amounts ranging from 1 ton to 4 tons. The resulting weight tickets overstated the tonnage of rock hauled by 1 to 4 tons. So when you're getting paid by the tonnage, Vince, and you're overstating how much you're hauling, that sounds to me like pretty fraudulent activity. And here, in fact, 2 folks from the company pleaded guilty to that in federal court.
Well, I just want to make one thing very clear, that I was never paid extra to threaten or drop a decent sized stone on somebody's head to crush it. Never happened.
See, I'm looking over this article again. I don't see any allegation quite like that. No,
well,
this is just about what
again,
are you talking
I'm just
about?
saying. I'm saying, if don't imply something like that because it didn't happen, is what I'm saying.
All right. Again, I didn't plan to. I don't know what this is with you. Like, I'm not going. I don't know what you're talking about. That isn't even in the article I just read.
That's
this
fine. That's exactly right. I'm just simply stating that if the thought had crossed your mind, that maybe some form of mortal crime had happened. It didn't happen, at least not for me. I was when it came to the illegal nature of the business, I was not privy to the things. I'd certainly never had meetings with the gentleman that you referenced, nor was I asked to, because of my size and demeanor, that I was never ever asked to threaten people maybe opposing projects to what we were trying to work on, or the developments and whatnot. I was not privy to any of that stuff. I did hear rumors that maybe things of that nature happened, but that notwithstanding, I was not on the on the giving end of any of this these illegal activity over illegal substance.
Did you ever misrepresent how many tons you were hauling?
As far as I'm aware, I did not misrepresent myself in any kind of situation.
That was curiously broad. I asked, did you ever misrepresent how many tons you were hauling in that job?
Again, I repeat myself that as far
Because
as
when
I'm
you get paid by the
concerned,
ton, it's pretty tempting, Vince.
it is, but I didn't get paid by the ton. I was informed of tonnage, and I reported such as was, as was given to me before I would leave the station. Let me
just say back to what you just said. I was informed of tonnage.
Yes, I was. I would drive the vehicle on over the scale, and someone would give me the reported tonnage, and I would then, deliver from that point onward. But I never hurt anybody with a rock.
How about Iran?
Only the Iron Sheik.
I mean, crushed stone, selling paper cups, selling adding machines. Couldn't you have done this in North Carolina? You moved to Maryland to do this? Did you want Daddy to notice you, to love you? Is that what this is really about?
Oh, see, again, what I said was I am, it's a chess game. All right? I knew where it was. I knew what the end game was. Did I love my father? No. My father died to me the day he left me in North Carolina. But through my dad, I saw opportunity. I relish opportunity. I relish the competition and the competitive nature that one can get when granted an opportunity.
It's just so stunning to sit here and hear you say categorically that you don't love your father, because everything you've ever said about him in published interviews and such has been so much the opposite, almost like overglowing, almost like, when you see like a couple on Facebook that just can't stop posting really happy pictures, something's wrong.
Exactly.
Is that really what we're seeing here? Kind of an early version of that?
I mean, what it is that we're talking about at the time. I was the face of a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company. So I had to say certain things in order to achieve the perception that we were a respectable entity on the NASDAQ. Now, as I am, quote unquote, not in the office anymore, the truth can come out.
But how does saying you love your dad in, the most flowery terms possible equate to being who you need to be for the NASDAQ? I'm not making that connection. Like, if you said you hated your dad, couldn't you still have been as successful as a business?
Well, I mean, I'm perceiving that we're a good old fashioned family company.
I see.
I don't necessarily believe that it's a good image, publicly speaking, that the owner, the chairman, the sole largest stockholder, which I still am to this day, is it's important that the head of the company, the head of the table, is desirable on a multitude of platforms.
Well, what myth about America does it feed for you to say that you adored your father?
It feeds the idea of this, of daddy knows best. Father knows best. People love that shit. People love it when you cite tradition, when you say, hey, this is the way things were done. I'm going to do this to honor my dad. It makes people think that there's something good going on. I mean, but come on. It's the wrestling business. All right? It's sports entertainment. It's entertainment. What are we doing? We're just taking money. All right? It is with lowbrow horseshit. That's what we're doing. We're selling snake oil. All right? We are showing people the flea circus. all these things, and look, everything here, you can believe this, you can get excited about this, you can where it's all bullshit. But I keep taking in the money. I keep getting more and more and more and more. So, but you can't just say that. You can't just say, I mean, wrestling is the biggest Ponzi scheme of them all when push comes to shove. Because what do you actually get out of it? When you're sitting there in the arena, when you're sitting there on TV, what do you actually get? You didn't do anything. You didn't accomplish anything. You spent money to watch someone else do something else. That's what you did. You just gave your money away. And maybe you got a DVD or you subscribe to the network so you can watch that shit over and over again like a fucking idiot. But you didn't get anything out of it. You don't move forward in your life. You stay stagnant. But I have your money now. And I'm going to put it down my pants and jerk off in it.
So if nothing else, what you've been doing your whole life, your life's work is keeping people stagnant.
Absolutely. Again, what I enjoy out of what I realize that I enjoy the most is having the power to make people feel, to manipulate people into doing things that maybe they wouldn't have done on their own. I have that power. I have the power not only to make people do things, but to make people want to please me. That's a rare gift. And it's even rarer to have those two gifts.
Now, when you're crushing stone in Rockville, Maryland, do you know you have that gift?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, how do you think a college-educated guy is going to get into this fucking business to begin with? Rock-crushing business. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Fucking child could crush rock. Doesn't take an education to crush rock. And then as I'm there, I start using what I have. I start using the gift to kind of, if you will, for lack of a better term, politic my way around and keep getting more and more and more and more and more. And at the same time, pissing my dad off more and more and more and more and more because he's watching his son blow away his entire college experience, his whole college degree, by working at a shitty-ass fucking construction job. I'm winning. I'm winning because it is never about what am I going to get tomorrow. It's always about what am I going to get next year? What's going to happen a year from now? How much am I going to have in my pocket in a year? Long game, because I always win. When people think I've lost, I've won. Because I don't think about, a prime example is this, all right? The XFL. Sure, you're going to take a whole fucking month-long whatever to talk about the XFL, but I'm just going to say this about it. It had that one season, and it quote-unquote failed, right? And was canceled, eliminated, done. It wasn't a loss. It was a win. Because in the back of my mind, I knew I just had to wait a little bit longer. I had to wait a little. We were in the beginning of an evolution with the WWE. As a corporate brand, as an entertainment brand, as a branding brand. And it just took time. I said, you know what? We can put the XFL on the back burner for right now, but it's going to have its time again. And it did. It came back. It came back just like I planned, in the exact way that I planned it. And then, to make it even better, I sold it and made money.
It's perhaps tempting to look back at your move to Maryland, as I mentioned, an attempt to get closer to your father. You reflected very nostalgically on visiting him during summer breaks from school and visiting him during holidays in his office in D.C. We talked on a prior episode of how you just loved the cheeseburgers and milkshakes at the cafe that was in the same building in Washington, D.C. that your father's office was located in. Sounds like very warm memories. So when you moved to Maryland in 1969 to be in the same metropolitan area as your father, suddenly comes word just 2 years later that he skips town. As soon as you move close to him, he wants to move to Florida, Plantation, Florida, to be specific, with his second wife, Juanita, in the suburbs of Fort Lauderdale. What was your reaction when, as soon as you get to him, he leaves?
Well, it made me realize that what I was doing was working, because now he's running scared. Now he realizes that the more powerful McMahon, the prophecy, the chosen one, it's coming to fruition. And he is going to have to lay down, because he cannot defeat me. I was chosen by some higher power to be the best in entertainment, the best all around. And I knew that, and he knew that. So I come up near him. He thinks that, oh shit, I got to get out of here. But again, like I said, anybody who finds out about a prophecy like this, like the idea that, the prophecy, the chosen one, the whatever is going to take me down, the more you do to prevent it, the more do to support it.
So you weren't at all hurt that your father moved to Florida the second you moved near him?
Not at all. If anything, it was just another piece of the pie, and I was prepared. I was ready for him to move. I was ready to see, because you know what? I knew there was going to come a moment when he was going to realize what I was doing, why I was there, to fulfill my destiny.
How would he know that you had that notion in your mind? Did you ever tell him, Dad, this is my destiny, this is what I want to do? Did he somehow just intuit it? I mean, how did he know all this?
I would suggest that it was intuition, that he could see it in my eyes. The first time I came up and I said, hey, I want to be part of the business. I want to be an entertainer. I want to promote.
He knew what then, to be clear? He knew what then?
He knew that I was coming for him and that I would destroy him.
Well, we'll get there. So he moves to Florida, where he spent the rest of his life, really, in terms of a permanent residence. But he's still, of course, running the World Wide Wrestling Federation. He's consolidated power in the wake of Toots Mondt and a power struggle with your dad. He basically takes over wrestling at Madison Square Garden, and is also dabbling in boxing with his business partner and former WWF President Willie Gilzenberg. It's an eventful and prestigious time for your father. He has now become the undisputed king of combat sports, if you will, in Madison Square Garden. And all this time you're pestering him to let you work for him. Come on, Pop, you know I love this stuff, is the way you recalled putting it to him. Did you take kindly to him not really allowing you into the business in the beginning? Was it always, in all honesty, a response of, oh, okay, that's another chess piece in my favor? Or was there ever a point where you were like, man, I'm really not making inroads with this guy. I might have to switch to a plan B?
No. Again, I don't think about things in the short term. I think about the long term. Where is it going to take me in a year? Where am I going to be in 10 years? The plan doesn't need to happen fast for me to feel like things are going my way. Things go my way because I make them that way. Things go my way because I said at one point, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, and this is what's mine. And so, I just need to bide my time. Wait for the perfect moment to strike. every now and again take little shots here and there, maybe get lucky. It's kind of like if you ever watch a wrestling match, you get there and, you get the two guys going at it in the ring, and every now and again, a guy does a maneuver of sorts, and he goes for a pinfall. He didn't use his trademark maneuver. He didn't use anything spectacular, but you never know. It just might be enough. That's what I was doing. Little opportunities here and there, but still building to the right moment, waiting for the opportune time to drop the bomb.
You talked about making things happen that would be advantageous to you and would help you realize your vision. Tell me if this brings back memories. If we can ready the sound clip, Johnny Addy. This is the voice of Madison Square Garden, boxing and wrestling. At the time that you've moved to Maryland and you're trying to find a way to convince your father to let you get more hands-on in the wrestling business. Why don't we hear Johnny Addy in his dulcet tones?
And now for the introduction of the two lightweights paired in the main event. Here's Johnny Addy.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling here Wednesday night. Anthony the Rocker will meet Killer Kowalski. Other bouts, which also includes a wonderful tag team match. Wrestling here Wednesday. 1 week from tonight, matchmaker Teddy Brenner is bringing in one of the top contenders for middleweight championship honors, one of the great punchers in the middleweight division, Joey Giardella of Philadelphia, and his opponent, another puncher from Toledo, Ohio, who has scored 22 knockouts out of 49 fights, winning 39, Charlie Cotton.
Yeah.
What do you think when you hear that clip back? You must remember him.
I think of a man, sure, I do remember him. I picture a man who honestly couldn't get up off his chair until he needed to go and do his job. A man who just drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. Honestly, I can't remember a time where I didn't see him throwing back some kind of alcohol. Just wasting his life.
Whatever happened to that guy? Do you know?
I didn't do anything. There was no foul play.
Let me take a look. Oh no. Wait a minute. December 21st, 1971, New York Times. Johnny Addy, 69, announcer at Garden Boxing Bouts. Dead?
I didn't.
Johnny Addy, the ring announcer
Yes.
for more than 100 World Championship bouts at Madison Square Garden and other boxing arenas in New York City during the last 25 years, died of a blood infection yesterday at the age of 69. Mr. Addy, who was hired at the Garden in 1948, followed in the tradition of Harry Belling and Joe Humphreys. He was a familiar figure to millions of boxing fans throughout the country. Is the man who introduced contestants after the finish bouts, hailed the winner and the winner of World Champion. Man, that must have been tough. Seems like it was a really sudden loss for the Madison Square Garden community. Huh, Vince?
Was it? Yes, it was. It was very tragic. A tragic circumstance.
Came out of nowhere.
Yes, it did. It did. But again, like I said, it was very familiar. You said it was a blood thing, right? And, maybe they should have referenced his blood alcohol limit, because I believe that would have been high,
Is that all that would have been in his bloodstream? To your knowledge?
Listen, are you asking me if I injected him with some sort of a poison?
No.
Well, because that definitely did not happen, and I definitely did not, I can tell you,
So wait, okay,
there's no reason
maybe,
to even bring it up, the fact that I did not put a needle in him, ever.
Maybe, I'm wondering if maybe there's some extra reporting I can do here. What I need to do is look up who replaced him.
I mean, I do believe that he was very also, not only an alcoholic, but I do believe he did heroin very much addicted to heroin at the time. That could be just speculation. I don't know.
Let's pull up Vince announcer here. This newspaper clipping, if you could, please. So who replaced him?
Well, I mean,
it says Vince McMahon Jr. of Gaithersburg, Maryland,
yes,
has been named as the announcer for the wrestling programs in Madison Square Garden. Johnny Addy, who died last month, had been the Garden announcer for wrestling and boxing.
Yes, that is true. I did do that. I was asked to.
You did what?
I was asked to take his job after they, after he passed. I was asked to cover for him on a temporary basis, but I just happened to, again, have a gift for it, and so they kept me on.
A gift for it? You hadn't ring announced a single match in your life at that point, am I wrong?
You don't, again, a gift. I had a gift for it. It wasn't like I had a skill. I hadn't trained. I just went out and did it, and they're like, hey, you get a gift, son. You can do this. And so they had me continue.
So that's what happened.
As to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Johnny Addy tragically passes away at a relatively young age of an infection.
You said it was 69, right? That's not. I mean, we're talking about the 70s. It's not necessarily very young for the 70s. And again, an alcoholic and a drug addict, the 69 is a blessing in a way, a long life. He lived maybe about 120 years in those 69 years.
McMahon's first Garden assignment, this article reads, this is from the Herald News in Passaic, New Jersey, January 24th, 1972. McMahon's first Garden assignment is January 31st when Pedro Morales of Puerto Rico defends his Worldwide Wrestling Federation heavyweight title against Professor Toru Tanaka of Japan in the feature event. What do you remember being your reaction when presumably your dad came up to you and said, hey, you're going to be ring announcing the Garden?
Well, I mean, the thing was, I was, he called me up. He said, son, when can you be in New York? I said, well, Dad, I gotta crush rock. And he said, well, no, son, you got to go up. I need you. And I said, well, what do you want me to do, Dad? I said, I got a job here. He said, look, he told me that the guy died. And I said, oh, what a tragedy. I had no idea. And he said, I need you to go up there and you got to bail me out. I said, I got to bail you out. Are you in trouble? He said, yeah, because I got no one to do the ring announcing. I said, all right, I will, I'll do what I can, Dad. And all you need to do, the only thing you need to do is when the door opens for you, just take that one step foot inside. And there's nothing they can do to stop you. It's just game on. Once they let, I don't mind referring to myself like this, but once you let the parasite inside the host, it's over.
So there you were. Look at this. There's some home video footage on YouTube of a Garden show that you did ring announcing for. Wow. Maybe if we can pull up Vince announcer 2 here. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
There you are. I believe this
Nice
is the year
jacket.
before.
It's a nice jacket.
Yeah, it actually, you're not swimming in it like your future Blazers. Wow, what a sight. You holding that Garden mic dangling from the ceiling. There we see Gorilla Monsoon off to the left there. I think he's working George Steele in this matchup. This is, I think, before the Garden matches where audio was well preserved of the Garden matches. So I don't think we have sound of what it was like, and I don't even think we have video, save for this this gentleman's home video footage of you walking around in that ring. So you look back on that day here, that night, Vince. What memories rush back? What are you seeing there?
Well, I'm seeing me in my element. That's what I see there. I see me at the very, what I am right there is I'm Dorothy in the land of Oz, and I'm at the very, very beginning of the yellow brick road in not so Munchkin land, if you will. And all I have to do is just follow this yellow brick road. Now that I'm here, now that I'm in the land of Oz, follow the yellow brick road, and then I will find my Emerald City. My Emerald City full of cold, hard cash.
This wasn't the first time a staple of Vince McMahon Sr.'s wrestling operation was abruptly out of the picture, creating an opening for Vince McMahon Jr.
I didn't create anything. I did not create anything. This was just a coincidence.
Next time in our program, the story of Ray Morgan.